on this episode of Inside KU. A new program aims to recruit the best and brightest graduate students. Foundation professors raise the bar when it comes to teaching. And a KU startup looks to make cancer treatments more effective. Welcome to Inside KU. I'm Jeannie Hodes. A new fellowship program aims to boost KU's image as a flagship research university. Each year, 12 students will now receive free tuition as well as a $25,000 stipend to do their doctoral research here. It's all part of an effort to recruit and support the next generation of outstanding scholars.
So that's called the yellow monkey flower, its common name. Its Latin name is Mimulus guttatus. And it's the subject of quite a bit of controversy in that it inhabits many different ecological niches along the western coast of the United States.
It's also the subject of Keely Brown's PhD research at KU. She's part of the very first group of students to receive the Chancellor's Doctoral Fellowship.
There are three main things that drive my research in a future direction, and those are feeding a growing world population, fueling a growing world population, and keeping that population healthy. Flowering plants in general are interesting in an agricultural context because things that cause variation in flower size or flower reproductive viability in nature often have an influence on how we understand how our crops might change with how our planet's changing. We do something that makes the plant better for us to grow, and it responds sometimes unpredictably. And so figuring out on a genetic basis why variation happens makes us more able to predict the types of variation we might see when we mess with a plant.
Max Murphy also received a fellowship and is studying bioengineering. Inspired by the Boston Marathon bombings, he now focuses on research to help the brain recover from traumatic injury or stroke.
Obviously, I was struck by how horrible of a tragedy it was, but it really came close to home because my wife is a marathon runner. The people at the bioengineering program at KU referred me to talk to Dr. Nudo, since he's a highly regarded expert in this field. And I went and had a meeting with him where he explained some of the work in their lab where they had recently restored functional movement to a brain-damaged rat by putting a chip with microelectrodes in its brain, essentially, and that circumvented the problem. So I thought that was incredible, and I was immediately very fascinated and wanted to work with him. I'll specifically be working on brain injuries, so that could be applicable to people with stroke, people with any kind of traumatic brain injury, maybe they got in a car wreck. But we're also doing work in our lab on the spinal cord, and so trying to use the same kind of techniques that I'm using in the brain to link an area of the brain to the spinal cord so that we can overcome anyone who's been paralyzed, they've lost their limbs. So there's going to be a broad application of what we're doing here.
Unlike other doctoral students, fellowship winners do not have a teaching or research assistant requirement, freeing up more time to focus on their own work.
There's definitely higher expectations because you know that you don't have to work as a TA, and so you have more time for research. And you also know that your professors know that, so you really want to step up to the plate and deliver.
It's definitely been a driving force in trying to prove that there's a reason I'm here, that there's a reason that they gave me the fellowship.
Both students agree the new program is a great way to attract top talent and invest in very promising future results.
It benefits not only the research that we're doing here, but on a day-to-day basis, interacting with peers that are high quality helps in learning things in general.
One of the things that struck me was that KU fosters an environment of supporting its graduate students, whether it's monetarily or through great advising or mentorship or the class structure. It gives graduate students every opportunity that they need to fulfill their potential. I'd like to continue to be a research scientist. That's definitely what I'm aiming for, but hopefully making the world a better place.
Coming up, KU's Dean of Graduate Studies explains more ways the university supports students working toward advanced degrees.